Hi, I'm Ryan.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Tyler, and we did our project on welding.
And with this project, we're going to look at how it can be applied with a 1D general heat diffusion equation, and then also using nodal analysis and showing how those kind of results are going to vary and which one is going to give you a little bit more accurate readings.
So a reason for doing this kind of analysis in the real world would be if you're welding something like cast iron or another material where you have to weld it at a certain temperature within a certain temperature range and let it cool off for a certain period of time to prevent cracking at the weld and ensure that the material stays strong.
So for our experiment, what we're going to do is we're going to go to my shop, and we're going to put up some half-inch plate of steel, and we're going to take a welder and we're going to strike on one side, and we're going to hold it there to build temperature. On the other side, someone's going to hold an infrared thermometer close to the metal, and we're going to record the temperature as it rises. We'll do that a few times to get a mean for our sample, and then we'll repeat the process but on the side with the welded. So then we can come in here and we can explain the graphs and what they're, and we have an idea of what we expect these graphs to look like.
I know I couldn't see anything.
What?
When it pulled down, it hit my beard and it went going all the way down.
Oh.
Yeah, that helps. We should make those a similar level. So.
Put my other dust. I had to have almost
I
melted
was
it.
way off. I was almost on you with the gun.
I had to have almost melted that thing. Oh yeah. Ooh!
480.
All right, and now we're back. We're going to talk about the general heat diffusion equation as it would apply to the welding scenario. We'll start off by talking about some of the common assumptions done with these general heat diffusions. 1D, we're looking at it in just the X direction. We have a constant thermal conductivity for this material. It's steady state, nothing is going to change over time, and then we're going to assume no heat generation in the material. On the left-hand side is where we'd apply the constant heat flux from the welding arc, and that's going to give us a starting temperature on that side. On the right-hand side, that's where we're kind of interested in measuring what the temperature be, and so this is the temperature profile that we would probably expect to see as it changes from the higher temperature to the lower temperature.
So if we would go about this like an undergrad, we would use all these assumptions as he stated earlier. We could simplify the general heat diffusion equation down to this form, and then integrate it twice. We'd end up with a linear function, which is depicted here on the graph. Have our boundary conditions as a temperature we measured on the left side earlier, and then the constant heat flux denoted here would also be another boundary condition we could solve from there. Okay. So another and more accurate way of doing this is using nodal analysis. So what we're going to do here is we got our piece of metal, we split it up into different nodes within there and evaluate it over time. As we increase the nodes, we get a more accurate temperature profile, and increasing the time stepped will also give us a more accurate temperature profile. But we're just going to do, with this example, we're going to do a 1D transient. If we did a 3-dimensional transient, it would give us the most accurate measurement for this model. But right now we're just going to explain 1D transient using the explicit method.
So here we drew out our steel. It's a half-inch steel. We drew our 3 nodes. We chose 3 nodes just to make it simpler when we're explaining it. We outlined our control volumes for each step. So this here would be delta x over 2, delta x over 2. Here we just drew these arrows to symbolize our heat flux coming in from both sides. You want your heat flux to come in on nodal analysis. You always want to add them together. So this equation right here, it'll work for node 1 and node 3 because they both have convection and conduction. So you have rho Cp delta T over delta T, you know, changing temperature over changing time. We get that from the general heat diffusion equation, and that's equal to your heat flux from the east plus heat flux from the west. And you have your H for the ambient air out here, times your area, your surface area, times T infinity minus the temperature of this node. T infinity would be the ambient temperature. Then it'd be plus the K times area times temperature at node 1 minus node 2 over your step size, which is delta X over 2. And you can use the same equation for this node over here just by changing some of your Tn's around, taking them out, changing them, because then you can make it work for convection and conduction. For node 2 though, you just have conduction coming in from both sides. It's pretty much the same thing. You still have rho Cp dt over dt is equal to your heat flux from the east plus the west. But instead of having convection conduction, you have conduction conduction. So it's just K times area times temperature at node 1 minus node 2 over delta X, and it's the same thing for the other one, except it'd be node 3 minus node 2. So from these three equations, you could plug them into like something like Python or some solver, and it would solve for your temperature at nodes, and you would get a temperature distribution that you could then plot. You would get, for every step size, you would get a different temperature value that you could plot onto a graph. So what that would do is you would have your actual heat line, your actual line that would show you what this temperature looks like going through here. And say you just use 3 nodes, this would look something along the lines of this. You'd have 1 node, 2 nodes, 3. And we could increase this, and every time that we increase this, we would get closer and closer to this line until we had something that very closely replicated this line. But even with this method and it being accurate, you can make it accurate, it would just be longer to run. This is a model, and we will never be able to get this 100% accurate just due to that. So in conclusion, like we learned in heat in undergrad, it's great for the simplicity of everything and for teaching purposes, showing how everything's supposed to work. But nodal analysis would definitely be the way to go if you want more, like a more accurate answer. Just because you get just closer time steps, and you can actually see more of a line of what that heat would look like going through versus just something linear. Here we tried to weld vibranium, it didn't work, so we had to go with boring steel. But yeah, thanks for joining.